Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking a look here at Bitcoin, helping you, try to understand what's going to happen next, right? We can always try to anticipate based on previous data what will happen in the near future. So we're going to take a look at Bitcoin and of course a few other things too, traditional markets, etc. Kind of just get perspective on what's happening here. Bitcoin is showing a lot of strength even still, and there's a decent chance it might continue. We're going to look at that and obviously a lot more. So if you are new to the channel, keep in mind I love teaching people to trade, so hopefully you can learn something here today. I've been trading and teaching for over 17 years now, so it's been an awesome experience. Feel free to check out my Discord if you have any interest in becoming a member. We actually took some nice profits here recently from Ethereum, 55%, 58% from Litecoin, and Near as well for an 86%. Now I'm considering taking some trades here today, of course, but it just depends on how the analysis looks. But generally speaking, we have some phenomenal traders in the community, so if you want to become part of that, once again, cryptocash.tech is a site, link down below. 1st of February, we're going to be rolling out with a new website version, essentially a tremendously better website, and the price will adjust from there. So make sure you lock in your rate before month end if you're interested in that. I've also got a prize pool monthly of $10,000 on average for Bitget if you decide you want to use the link down below to register. Phenomenal exchange, best exchange I've ever used. It's really easy to qualify to. You just have a profit and loss ratio and or trading volume. All right, pretty straightforward, but really, really awesome benefit there. Thank you to Bitget and of course ExpressVPN, because you do need a VPN if you're ever going to be using leverage to trade on an exchange outside the US if you are in the States or another country that doesn't allow that. So just keep in mind all that stuff is down below here. So let's take a look here at Bitcoin. First of all, we just kind of want to recognize that we are still honoring this ascending trend. So we can kind of see that kind of working its way up there, of course. And until we break below that, we can assume the price will continue higher. That's essentially how trend lines work, right? Higher highs and higher lows, just continuously until you break below the trend line, it's going to continue to maintain itself. Now I have an alert set here somewhere in the 21.7 range because I feel like that would be a bouncing point if the price were to come back down. Keyword is if it's going to come back down. Just like this here before, the price did not lose this range and it continued to maintain it and then broke above with a nice strong short squeeze. We could very well see that again. There's not a lot of resistance just above this level, at least for some time, and we're above all moving averages too. So if we see here, we've kind of got basically the 200-day and the 50-day, it's working its way up. That's inevitably going to be a golden cross, perhaps in the next couple of weeks. So I'm paying attention to that. Of course, that tells us we've basically broken bullish, for lack of better terms. And when I say broken bullish, it doesn't mean we're going to go parabolic at the end of the month or year even still. I still think we're going to have some trouble this year. But I do think that a lot of money, not a lot of new money is coming back into the market. Perhaps it's money that left the market previously when FTX occurred or even beforehand. And there's this sense of the bottom being in. So that could very well be factoring in. But generally speaking, at this point, Bitcoin is looking fairly strong, even though we've been overextended above 70 on the RSI for some time. Okay, so again, kind of just drawing perspective here. If we look back at the RSI being that overextended previously, the last time it was like this, the last time I stayed this high and maintained that level was back in 2021, January, when we basically broke parabolic. In other words, our very first parabolic type of run, and then the price retraced and continued higher from there. So not saying the exact same thing will happen, but if it does, we should experience a dip in the relative near future, followed by a significant increase. Okay, so again, that is essentially what the RSI is telling us here, but you got to recognize the RSI came up, stayed at this level for what was January 1st through the 10th, roughly a full week, and then it tapered off down to 50 and continued up again. So hypothetically, that same exact scenario occurs. We could see the same thing happen for us. We're here, since January 14th to the 23rd. There's a great chance that the price will decrease from here because it's been overextended for over a week, roughly almost exactly the same time frame as that time we just looked at, giving us the indication the price action might actually continue to progress downwards. Now, if you saw from before, it didn't drop like a rock. It slowly decreased over a few days. So we should experience some type of slow decrease if the price were to continue lower and bounce off one of the key support levels, probably closer to that CME gap at 20,000, fill that gap and continue from there. That would make a lot of sense. Again, it's all speculation. We never truly know, but this is still continuing higher, which is kind of unbelievable. But keep this in mind. We're starting to taper off with the oscillators there. So it's really kind of telling us that we're slowing the momentum down, which is fine. We're honoring this ascending trend so far, and we're still over 70 on the RSI, so we're absolutely bullish on Bitcoin. Just be prepared for a potential pullback if there were to be one. Just note that the 19,500 range should act as a strong support level based on that moving average, and that gap that we have from, see over here for the CME gap, remember it's down from 19,900 upwards of 21,000. So there's a range between 19,900 and 21,000 even, where we could very well see that gap get filled. I'm speculating that'll happen in the relative near future. That's my guess, okay? So that's kind of where we're at there in that sense here. Mostly positive, but once again, a pullback would make sense in the relative near future. Even though Bitcoin does look like it wants to just break through this resistance level again, it keeps retesting 22,900, roughly 23,000. It keeps retesting that level until we have a few more days here above this, at this point or above. I'm not super sold on the break to the upside. I do think it could happen. It's absolutely a strong likelihood. We're looking very bullish in the overall sense of things. It just, what goes up must come down. We have to have a correction sometime. It can't just keep going up without any type of retracement, right? That's how trading works, or it's how it's supposed to work. So we're in overtime, for lack of better terms, if you want to kind of consider it that way. All right, so look at the 4 hour here. We can see that we are back under 70 in the RSI, which is kind of nice. It's finally kind of tapering off. We want to be back closer to 50 in the RSI, and if so, hypothetically, a nice long position between 21.5 and 21.7 would be appropriate. Again, right now, that's what it looks like if we're to come back down there. So that's why I got my alert set there to reevaluate that point. We've got a MACD divergence here, of course, and it is gaining momentum. It's not super significant, but it's starting to come back. It would make sense the price pulls back in the relative near future. Again, I've mostly, communicated this same narrative for last few days, actually, last maybe 5 or 6 days. The price is due for a pullback. This last little extra leg up was kind of a little greedy in my opinion, and I don't think we're going to be able to maintain this price too much longer. I would love if it continues higher. I hope I'm wrong. Honestly, I really like to be wrong in circumstances where the price keeps going up. But on the same accord, we got to be realistic here that while this is a mildly healthy consolidation here, a lot of these legs up here are very significant, and they haven't had a pullback in over 2 weeks. So again, overextended to the max. I think a pullback would make more sense than an increase, but there's no doubt that the price is looking fairly strong at this point, and that there's not a lot of resistance above this level. So in fact, let's touch on that before we jump in the 1 hour. You can kind of see if we kind of zoom out. While there is a resistance level here at about 25,000 as a close approximate, there's not a lot of resistance in this area. Okay, and when I say that, I mean, basically taking a look at the volume, there's literally very low volume in this area. Okay, so back in August, we were kind of peaking up about 25,000. The price corrected itself down to the 21 to 22 range, and then FTX kind of sealed the deal. We're back to that same range, but it doesn't look like it's going to continue past that point without some kind of retracement. So, there's a chance that a long position right now up to about 25,000 with a handful of profit targets between then is viable. I just don't think we're going to see that immediately. It would make more sense we see a pullback first before we retest that level. So one or two things are going to happen. We're going to retest 25,000, get rejected, and come back down to fill that gap, or we fill the gap now and have more strength to test that level initially, and then to break through it with that extra volume that we have. Right? We need a foundation of volume as a base to get us there. So, anyways, that's kind of what we're looking at there. Taking a look at the 1 hour here. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek at TD sequential. Not a heck of a lot, honestly. The one thing I do see that is positive, at least tentatively positive, is the fact that it was making lower lows, and now we're making higher lows. Okay, so this higher low is very beneficial in the sense that if it were to pull back, it should continue upwards, and we might actually see this level get broken. Okay, so I like the hourly. It looks very good here in that sense, but I'm not super sold on the cloud here because we haven't truly broken above that level. We can see that resistance at 29,900. Sorry, I keep misspeaking and saying 29,000. I wish, right? 22,900 would be great to break through that level. So until we close soundly above, just say 23,000, I wouldn't think that the next leg up would be validated. Okay, I think we're invalidated by a closure below that level, and I think we're going to continue to see lower highs and lower lows. But again, for right now, we're kind of tentatively in this little zone where it's like you don't want to buy or do anything, right? Conversion lines above the baseline, while that's all well and good, it's not a tremendous amount of volume, momentum. And then, of course, lagging span's not even free and clear, and we're barely within the cloud. There's not a lot of positivity here, and I think the inevitability is if we don't close above 23,000, we will naturally be below the cloud, and we should be able to work ourselves down further, hopefully to that 21.7, 21.8 mark. Okay. Okay, so I'm looking for an entry closer to the the 21.5 to 21.8 range, right in that area, with a nice potential long from there because we have a lot of volume. Keep this in mind. Tremendous amount of volume at this area. Like there's a lot of volume in this price point, and that's going to work as a support level. Okay, at least a stronger likelihood of working as a support, unless there's some uber greed going on and the price continues lower than that, which could happen. That is actually a nice consolidation point. So if we take a look at the daily, just to kind of get perspective on what I'm referring to here, this amount of volume here, while it's not very much compared to the lower points, if we zoom in a little bit, you can see that there's definitely a decent amount of volume at this point where we had about 5 days of consolidation before the next leg up. So the most recent high, right, this high right here should work as a support level here. That's the concept, right? So that being said, I would just say wait for confirmation. To me, a closure above 23,000 today would validate further potential increase, and a closure below that would potentially invalidate the increase, and likely the likelihood of decreasing from here is greater. That's my personal thoughts. So I've got 2 or 3 long, for alts that I'm holding off on right now, just based on this one thing. So if you're a community member watching, the reason why you haven't seen any signals recently is because I'm trying to be patient and waiting for that dip if it were to occur. Because honestly, it's a flip of a coin at this point right now. There's no definitive direction. We have very strong tendencies of bullish tendencies here right now, but we also have a lot of reasons why the price should pull back soon to fill that CME gap. That would make sense. Okay? Again, just a handful of things to kind of think about. Hopefully that makes sense for you and I described this correctly. If you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a site down below. Look forward to working with you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in tomorrow's video. Take care.